Hey, Neil McDonnell here. We're going to get started in just a second. I'm letting LinkedIn let people know we're coming in. I'm just checking my stuff to make sure I'm good to go. No point in talking a lot. Hey, Joshua and our community out there, Doug, Amit, and everybody else. I can see there. I see I'm good to go. I got a lot to share, so I just want to make sure I line up my screens because I'm going to share my screens in a minute. So thanks for your patience as we get ready to rock and roll. Okay, I think we're good. Let me turn off this scroll guy on the bottom. You got me. We got the chat. I think I'm good to go. So we're going to get started. Hi, I'm Neil McDonnell, president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to my daily LinkedIn Live, where I discuss process and procedures for you to achieve success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching folks like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. If you follow the process A to Z, you're going to achieve the success or the outcome that you want. And that's what I come here day after day for, is to teach you part of the federal sales process in order to help you achieve success. Today, I'm going to walk you through recent Department of State briefing that their contracting officers came in, like 20 plus contracting officers and a bunch of other people who were supporting it, came in and briefed virtually. It took them 90 minutes. I'm going to try to pack it into 30 minutes, but you definitely want to spend many hours later. If what you're hearing today, and if State Department's a target of yours, you want to spend more time to build your pipeline out. Before we get started, I really want you to help me remember who you are. I'm going to show you an example in a minute of why this is important. But for the moment, put your name, your company name in the chat, and 2 or 3 words that tell me your core competency. There's a person, Munir, who's in our community. He does ServiceNow. That's his company's expertise. That is solidly in my head, right? And what I want to be able to do is to remember what your core competency is. Because as I go through today's briefing, I'm going to mention Munir, and there's a ServiceNow component at State. I know he and his team are going to be interested, at least looking at that, to decide bid, no bid. But it's easy for me to point this out to him just as a friend in the community, because I remember him, his company, and his core competency. And that's what I really want to do with you. And I want others to remember who you are. I want your buyers, your teammates, and me to remember you just easily. So that's why I always say 2 or 3 words that describe your company's core competency. Okay, so hey, before we get started, I wanted to share this one quick little story. Somebody asked me this morning, I was talking to them about whatever, and they were saying, we were talking about coming into this live, and they were asking me, aren't you concerned that you constantly are coming back? Because I'm almost at 100 LinkedIn lives this year. Aren't you concerned about somebody taking your process and all these things you're teaching and packaging it up and selling it? And I appreciated their concern and watching out for me. But what I told them was, look, people who want to work with me will come work with me. My mission in the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, which is the nonprofit I started after I sold my last company, is to help everybody succeed that wants to succeed. And so government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. The reason we think it's a secret is because people sometimes keep the process to themselves. And so I want to share this out there. And if my competitors, whatever those are, right? If I have people who take my process and the things I'm saying and begin to teach it to somebody else and sell it and make money that way, I'm all for that. It actually doesn't bother me. It excites me that there's people out there who are learning the process that'll lead them to success. And anybody who wants to teach it, I just give you blanket permission to do that. People who want to work with me will come to me, and people who want to work with somebody else will go there. That's fine. But if we all follow the process, we will help, in particular, the small business community really have a lot more success. And that's my mission. That's why I come back every day. That's why my team comes back, is because we believe in that mission of helping small businesses succeed in the federal government market. So, okay, enough of my little soapbox or sidebox type thing there. I wanted to really deep dive into State Department. In a minute, I'm going to share my screen and dive into the document they shared, 130 pages. But almost every day I get asked by somebody, how can I learn about more opportunities, different agencies, et cetera? How do I learn more about opportunities? And then how can I find and engage decision makers? Today, I'm going to try to take a stab at answering that question as it relates to the State Department. But the short answer is, and I've said this over and over again, right, is focus. If you have type focus, that'll allow you to focus your research and it'll allow you to focus your relationship building. For example, we're going to talk about State Department. They're providing so much information. It gives me a whole, they're basically writing a plan, a business development plan to go into State Department. They're saying, come help us out. These are our needs. This is what we do. And you bring the solution, the product, et cetera, right? If you're procurement ready and you're coming at them, then they'll be able to work with you and they want to hear from you. So, by the way, another quick sidebar here is in LinkedIn, you have the ability to record your name, right? And I'm going to go into that in another day where I show you a whole bunch of cool little tips in LinkedIn. But inside of there, record your name so people know how to properly pronounce it. I think that names sometimes might seem self-evident, but they're not. People like me actually have a hard time. And the reason I say that is because I want you to make sure you follow Jaime Gracia. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Jaime, sorry. But that's how I first learned about this State Department document we're going to talk about, the video and the event that they had. And this guy puts out a lot of stuff, and he and I have been connected on LinkedIn. And so I want you to go follow him. So make sure afterwards, and I'll remind you later, make sure you follow Jaime because you will learn about the State Department just through his LinkedIn posts. He'll keep driving you back to different places. He's got an excellent use of LinkedIn and SharePoint. And so does Anna Ehrman, who's also at the State Department and a big fan of engaging small business within the State Department. Okay, and the last thing is I want you to download the PDF. I'll send you a link afterwards if you haven't read my profile or a post that I did this morning, but it has the PDF, but it also has all these decision makers I'm going to talk about today. It has them linked in that post. And so I want you to go into that. Today, I'm going to talk about two main things. Decision makers, I really want to talk to you about where they are and how can you find them and maybe what can you do. But keep in mind, if you're going to reach out to any of these State Department decision makers, be procurement ready. If you're not making any money, you should be working with a small business who's working with the State Department to get in. They'll take your call, but I'm suggesting don't waste their time. Go talk to people like me or PTAX or small business specialists who are willing to kind of guide you, not specialists, small business owners who will guide you in there if you're not making money. If you're making money, if you have past performance, then definitely knock on the doors. And then the next thing is that I'm going to talk about. So decision makers are opportunities, right? There's a ton of opportunities I want to talk to you about. And actually, this is a good segue for me to just understand what you want to see in today at the State Department. But in my invitation for today's event, I said that there's opportunities in construction, in manufacturing, and services. And so do me a favor, in the chat, just go ahead and put which one are you targeting, right? Manufacturing or products, services, or construction. I'd like to see that. Last point before we get started is that many of the opportunities are OCONUS. So that's OCONUS is outside continental United States. And then some are inside of CONUS. So understand the difference. And when you're looking at opportunities, know that if you're newer in this business, especially if you're thinking about priming, you want to stay CONUS opportunities. Otherwise, you want to team up with somebody else and learn the ropes from them as a subcontractor, and then you can come back later and prime. So in the comments, go ahead and put that stuff, and I am going to share my screen, a deep dive. Right in front of me, I got a bunch of pages I want to go to kind of guide you to where I think this could be really helpful. The point of today's training, by the way, is to give you a start of reviewing this 130-page document, 90-minute video. I want to give you a start and wet your whistle and and excite you maybe to do more homework and to follow up. So that's the purpose of what I'm trying to get at today. So let me first share my screen here. By the way, first stop is Jaime. Right here, I said go follow him. If you come in here and follow, and I don't know why. Oh, yeah, right there. So you see how I'm turning that bell on? Right now at the bottom, you can see where it says I'm going to be notified of everything that he posts. Now LinkedIn will send it to me. I don't have to pay attention to him. He doesn't have to pay attention to me. LinkedIn does it for us, and we stay in touch. But he's a great influencer in the sense that he's putting information out that we want to see. So let me switch over to the PDF. I shared at the beginning, by the way, this org chart. And one of the things I was just trying to put in perspective is that the people on page 2 here, the Office of Procurement Executives, I just wanted to give you an understanding of where they fit into the entire State Department. And they fall under the Undersecretary of Management or for management and under administration. right? So that's where these guys fit. If you're going to go into the State Department and look for them and their web pages, et cetera, that's where they fit. This org chart's a great way for me to come in as a salesperson if I wanted to, and do this exercise that I like doing, is saying, who do I want to sell to and who can I help, and who maybe not so much right now. And so an example is energy resources. I might go, I can't help these guys over on this side on energy resources. So let me just cross them out. I just put an X on there and I move on. It's a great way to rapidly zero your attention onto the elements of the State Department that are important to you and ignore the ones that are not. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling. Let me change my mouse thing back here. I want to take you first to decision makers. And so as we move forward with this, I'm just going to be jumping to a bunch of pages. So for example, here, I'm going to jump down to, and I'm not going to do this every time to tell you, but I'm going to pop up for 1 second. When I get to these people, I'm not trying to give you an overview of the whole document. That's your job to go in and watch them on the video and or read the document. But I do want to drive you to how great the information is they're sharing. But so this is Diplomatic Security Contracts Division. Every page I'm going to go to from this point forward is showing you, here's the team, right? Here's Patrick sharing his team. And the very next page, you've got their emails. You can quickly find their phone numbers if you want. But the way they provided this tells me that they prefer email outreach. One of the things I would recommend if you're reaching out for the first time, especially if you're doing it soon, is to just mention you saw them in their video. So that means you need to go watch their video, and you appreciate that they're talking. I saw you talking about this opportunity and that. First, I just want to say thank you, right? And then you can follow up and connect with them how you want. So that page 17, right? We're in there. And actually, let me zoom in a little bit to maximize your ability to see this. Okay, so next group, 31 and 45. Oh, so here's two people, right? So on this page, there's 3 people listed, and the next one you'll show where it has their contact information, one's missing. So I just want you to pay attention to that sometimes. So here's the Design and Construction Division, for those of you in the construction side of the house. Here's these 3 people, but Edward right here on Major Support, he's not listed as in the point of contact here on page 45. And so you just want to follow back up maybe with Bob and say, hey, Bob, I enjoyed watching the video. I appreciate you sharing all that information. And they shared a ton, right? Can I get Edward's contact information? Because whatever Edward shared was way better than what you shared, Bob. I want to talk to him. Or some nicer way of saying that. Okay, so let's go to 51. So here I'm just going to keep going through decision makers. I want you to see how many of them there are really quick. So in this particular case, these folks, I don't have contact information. I'm hoping that when they see this, because some of them might even be on watching it to make sure I'm not sending the wrong message, I'm hoping they'll actually reach out and share their contact information. But either way, some of these people you can go find on LinkedIn. And let me just bounce back here really quick. So in this post that I shared, you can see where I could do it. I put their contact. And right here are 2 of the people, Alexander and Larry. I couldn't find them in the document, but I can find them here. So that's a way for me to begin to follow them and engage them. Okay, so page 51, page 80. So when I come down here now I'm stepping up to the next level. For you in IT services, any of the professional services, some of this might jump at your attention. But here, good contact information. Many of these people are out there, like I said, on LinkedIn, so you can find them. Let's go down here to 107. So down in here, and in this one, we start getting into something called Evolve, and I'll come back to it in a second. But it's a huge contract vehicle that they'll be dropping out, an IDIQ, et cetera. We're going to look at it, but these people were talking in the video, or Catherine was talking for her team, and they're incredibly willing and want to meet with industry and make sure they're engaging industry so that they don't do this in a vacuum. And led by her and some of the other folks in state, I believe they are. And to show that they are, they went and stood up a web page that's specific to Evolve. And I think I also put that in this link. Yeah, I didn't put it here, but let me just see my comments really quick. No, the video's here. So by the way, I'll send you the link of this in the comments at the end. So you have all this already. You don't have to go hunting for it. But I'm going to come back to evolve in a second. And then the last two groups of people, and this is 3 pages, I think. Oh, so this one's an interesting one. So this is in the appendix after the whole briefing was done. There's an extra set of slides in here. And this is where they're giving status updates on different acquisitions going on. But the cool thing is, if you look in here, you can find people like Michael down here or Sharon. And if their contact information wasn't part of the folks up above, then you can find them in here and their email addresses so that you can reach out. This is particularly important to come through and just get an update and understand what have they been dropping out there? What stages are they in? Maybe you're somebody who might want to be a subcontractor and you can see the stage. You might be able to reach out and see what's going on. Or just track for the award to drop and then follow up. By the way, if you haven't heard this before, you can absolutely get on a contract that has been awarded already as a subcontractor. If the prime could use another company on the team, they will add you. They're not going to not add you. The government doesn't really generally care. The government just looks to the prime and says, get the work done. How you do it is up to you as long as you follow whatever basic rules we have. And there's generally no rules on subcontracting. No negative rules to smalls. And then, so there's 3 pages of this. I'm not going to go through them all, but this one last group, just wanted to point out, drop down and you find another list of contacts, right? There's no email addresses in here, but it would have taken me all of 15 minutes to find email addresses for almost all of these people if they were out there. In the government world, not just the government world, right? In the world today, things are out there on the internet, LinkedIn, whatever. And so go take the time to find it. But this is great to be able to find this organization's breakdown. And so this is the Functional Bureau Support Branch. And we'll come back and see those a lot more in a second when I go into the opportunities. So hopefully this is making sense. If it's making sense, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to move in now and talk about opportunities. And this one will be interesting because I've got about 12 references that I'm going to look at, and I'm watching my time to see where it's balancing. But there are a lot of exciting opportunities within state that they're sharing right here. And so I just want to begin to point out some of the ones that you see. You should be looking at my screen and seeing this. And as I go through pretty fast, you'll see ones that pop up. Just write the page number down and to go, oh, let me follow back up on that. And this is what I was talking about, OCONUS, right? Things that are outside of continental United States. You might still be able to support it, or there's primes that you can support. Sorry, one more sidebar because I like so many sidebars, is if you'd like to learn about working outside, sometimes you might reach out to the contracting officers who were part of this and say, hey, I'm trying to find another small business that I might work with to begin to get my experience in delivering outside of the United States in some of these contracts. Is there a way that you can help me either meet some of the program managers or people who are doing existing works? They can never make referrals, but some of them might make introductions. Especially if they think you could help their prime contractors. Okay, so let's keep cruising here. 25. So coming into here, we're talking about hotel and lodging and linguistics and vetting. I've got 2 people in this community that I know are in the translation and linguistics side of the house, right? Here's 2 opportunities. And I'm not going to go into this every time, but I do want to point out, right? Recompeted in 2023. That means it should be in your pipeline now and you can begin to do capture. But it's an 8A set aside. And so if this is your space, it's a great time to go try to find an 8A firm that's doing business in the State Department in particular, because they might have a leg up as a proven vendor within that department. But either way, finding an 8A if you're not an 8A. Okay, and so we're going to keep on cruising through these, but you'll notice that they're sharing a lot of good information that is an initial set enough for you to decide, do I want to pursue or not pursue? And this is all about, you know how you hear about bid, no bid? Well, it gets formal as you move through the capture process. But at this point, I might look in and go lodging, hotel, no bid. Linguistics and vetting, no bid, right? I'm just moving through. I encourage you to read every page. I didn't read all the details of hotel and lodging. The minute I saw hotel, I was crossing it out and moving on. So it takes me a split second. But the reason I like reading all the pages is in case I miss something. This allows me not to miss anything. All right, let's cruise on. That's 25. Page 28 here. So here we start getting into some of the product sides, right? Emergency escape respirators. training logistics in here. I'm not sure what TIA is, right? I'm not going to try to just assume, but I can look in here and start looking at this. This one in the middle, training and logistics. I'm curious on what kind of logistics. That's really interesting, training and logistics. But I see that it's a set aside for SDVO. Well, I'm an SDVO. Let me go pursue it. I'm not, but I mean, if you are, right? And so you can see already that the solicitation happened a while ago. So this is kind of the minute I look, I see it's outdated. I'm like, hey, maybe something's wrong with that. Or maybe there's an update I'm not tracking. So now if we go down to 49, we get into, there's a lot of pages in here, but I wanted to pull this one up because this was multiple construction IDIQs and they're keeping them low dollar. And I'm assuming it's to make sure they're able to engage small businesses left and right. But you can see here that they encourage use of small businesses in here. Now, what they're saying is that many of these have already been awarded and they're going to post the notice. Well, that's fine. So maybe you get in and subcontract, 5 years, it'll be up again, or whatever the period of performance. In government contracting, 5 years is not that far away, right? You'll hear a lot of us talk about the way you begin to fill your pipeline is to look for something that's already awarded and just track it. These guys are letting us know, here's 28 IDIQs. Maybe I look for the ones that are here in the United States. Okay, cruising along here. So here are 10 pages, and I'm going to go through pretty fast, but 10 pages of these requirements. And this office, bureau, whatever you call them, they decided to put one on each page, which is handy, right? I'm able to quickly look at it. And I've been engaged in telehealth, supporting the VA. This would stop me in my tracks and say, at the very least, I'm going to dig more. By the way, quick tip, don't get distracted when you're reviewing all 130 pages. Write this down and come back to it later and keep going to the next page like I'm going to. So a little explanation. Now they're talking about simplified acquisitions. This one stops me in my track because in here I can see there's 2,500 that they do during the fourth quarter, not the year. They're kind of thinking that they're going to be pulling up 2,500. And if last year was tough, or the beginning quarters of this year were tough, then they might even have more than that. So it's something to pay attention to. Construction services. So now they're just talking about different ones. Each one of them, you can see the size and what the description is. And so I'm just going to keep moving through these. But you can see they had almost 10 pages of different opportunities telling you when they're thinking about dropping them, et cetera. So good stuff. Here's one for a mobile base camp. It's getting ready to go now. Let me move on. So this one I was talking about Manir earlier. My friend who's in the community. Come on. There we go. So in here, there are 6-7 pages. And, if you're into the unmanned aerial vehicles, you can look at this. I wanted to start coming down here. So now we're getting into staffing and look at this, right? 90 full-time positions. It's set aside for 8A. I'm going to go find an 8A if I'm not an 8A and try to see if they're going this way. And hey, let's go after this. Could we do this work or at least pursue it enough to learn more? If I'm an 8A, I want to be looking at this going, why am I not going after it? But it's a single award IDIQ, potentially 90 people at State Department. That's worth at least looking at. The one thing is about where it's at, and it's in Bogota. So figured that out. I'm going to skip through here because I wanted to just go through. You can see these aviation engine. Now we're getting into advertising and marketing. That's an interesting one. There's something always for everybody, right? And then right here, I wanted to pause. State Department, I can't remember when, but go follow Jaime and he'll tell you. In fact, he just posted it today that there's a training that the State Department's doing on Unison and how they're going to be putting stuff out and how you can compete for it. And one of the things that I like about it is the software maintenance, for example, on ServiceNow. I was talking about Manir does this type of work, and it's good for him to come in, look at this, look at the training, look at the contracting officers who are talking about this. If this is your business, you want to track on it. One thing, if you haven't done this before, is anytime I see software maintenance, to me, I think there's a service component behind it. Even if the government's not thinking of it yet, who's doing service now? Who's using it in there? How can we help you go to the next level? And so I always look for the maintenance as a way to find the related services. Okay, so that was that group. Let me go to another group here. So as you go forward, you'll start seeing they're similar, right? So here's translation services, a lot of different other stuff that's on here. I'm just looking at my time, 24. So I got just a couple minutes. I want to take you to Evolve, that big IDIQ, and let's see if I can find it. Is it 106? Evolve. Hey, I got it. So Evolve, I already talked to you about, here's the contracting staff. By the way, Catherine said that there's 4 right now. They expect to go to 9, just to give you an understanding of how big that team's going to be for this acquisition. I don't want to do her briefing for her. They've got a web page they just stood up. It may have a link in here, and I'll find out in a second. But otherwise, Jaime will tell you. But anyways, it's for IT services. So if you're in the IT space and you're looking at the State Department, here's a multiple award IDIQ that you could go after. And in here, in these next few pages, they're explaining why they're doing it. What's the purpose of the IDIQ, but also how do they plan on going after it, right? Here's some basics on what they're trying to achieve. But here's the breakdown of these IDIQs. And they're talking about, they're giving you some basic guidance, right? Like if you're going to go after IT management, right down here, it's telling you, then you can't go after any other category. So you have to decide, am I fitting there? How much money do you think you're going to be able to get out of that compared to opportunity lost of those other 4 categories? But with 5 categories here, right, you've got a lot of choice in here. If you're in the cloud services, you should be looking at it. There is one more thing in here that you can only have a maximum of 2. And so if you're coming in, you've got to pick which areas do I want to specialize in? What do I have the most likely chance of winning and get in there? I don't know what the rules are, but I'd be curious on whether you can subcontract safely under the other 3. So that'd be a question to ask Catherine and her team. Here, they're talking about the size, 5 to 7 years, and it's $8 to $10 billion. That's a good contract vehicle. That's not as big as the 8A Stars 3, but 8A Stars 3 is for everywhere in the government. This vehicle, 8 to 10 billion, is for the State Department. Who knows if they'll use that ceiling, but I'm pretty sure we can look to Catherine and the team, the State Department, as we do our homework and understand, is this a recompete? Is this a new contract vehicle? If it's a new contract vehicle, are you consolidating others? And we can get an understanding of what the spend is. And I'm sure they're going to be briefing that out there. So let me go ahead and stop sharing on that, because that's a fun place for me to just stop. Don't forget to connect with Jaime there. And I'm back here. I hope that stuff was helpful to you. If it was, give it a thumbs up. We talked about how to find decision makers. Well, the State Department's bringing it right to you, right? They've done their job. They've given us this information about opportunities as well. Now we need to do our work by doing some of the homework and then preparing to contact them and reach out to them. I have a handout that I'm willing to share for anybody for free, if anybody wants this, of the steps that I would take to pursue the State Department after this call, right? If I wanted the State Department and I just watched my video, then I would follow a certain set of steps. And if you'd like me to share that with you, happy to do that. Go ahead and put in state handout, please, into the comments, and I'll get that to you. Okay, so we blew through a lot. It's a fire hose. It's designed to get you to go to the next stage. I'm going to put a link into the comments after I exit out of the tool I use, because I can't put a comment in right now. But as soon as I exit out, I'll put a comment in, watch for that. And that will have a link to all those LinkedIn hyperlinks that I talked about, and the video, and Jaime's profile. So you can find all that in one post. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is showing up, and I'll see you in the next time when you show up.